way so you don't have to tie the ends at the end. Some people get confused with that. To not mess up your project. It's already looking perfect at the top. And then you go down and make this beautiful stitch. And I forget what the stitch is called, but I will post the pattern in a description as usual for this hat. And then the piano cover that I was making for my husband, it's still in the making. Piano cover is really long, so it will take me a while. I might even be crocheting with you next video again with that piano cover. It's just because I wanted something different and I wanted to switch things up, you know. As I told you last time, I can't really focus on one thing for a long time, so I want to always do different projects, like small projects, you know, repetitive projects, but small. The piano cover was kind of like one of the bigger projects for me that, you know, I can't do in one sitting, but I will finish it eventually for sure. So this is what I'm making right now. This is a really simple hat. I will show you the result of this hat next video because I'm almost done with it actually. I have 2 more rows and then I'm gonna work on my brim, but I don't know if I will finish it on the video with you guys or not. However, the result I'm hoping to be in the next video. So let's get started with the story. This story is very shocking and unsettling, to say the least. It's very unbelievable also, as most of the stories that I talk about, but also this one has a trigger warning. It's very disturbing facts in there as well, and you can probably see in the title of the video that there's going to be something disturbing there. So just letting you know in advance, so you're not surprised about anything, you know, coming out in the middle of the video. But I never usually talk about the gruesome details, so don't worry about that. So we're gonna start with Melanie Slate. Melanie Slate was born on October 8th of 1972. She was born in Ridgewood, New Jersey. After graduating Middletown High School, she went on to pursue a major in psychology and math from Rutgers University. So Melanie ended up graduating in 1994. She then attended Charles E. Gregory School of Nursing in Old Bridge, New Jersey, and from there she received her nursing diploma in 1997. By the way, you guys are seeing this side, but this is the pretty side. That's the side how the hat is gonna look. When she graduated from nursing school, she was actually the second in her class. So Melanie was really smart also. In 1999, Melanie began working as a nurse in the country's largest fertility clinic. It's located in New Jersey, and it's called Reproductive Medicine Associates. Melanie was very skilled at her job and all patients loved her. The same year in 1999, Melanie married a person named William McGuire. They were actually dating for a few years before marrying, and they met when they were working together at a restaurant. William was a U.S. Navy veteran. William was born on September 21st, 1964. And he worked as a computer programmer at the New Jersey Institute of Technology. In the year 2000, the couple had their first son. They named him Alexander. And then in 2002, they had their second son named William. Both Both sons were named after the dad, William Alexander Maguire. The family lived in Woodbridge Township in New Jersey, and their house was only located 30 minutes away from Melanie's work, so it was very convenient. The family seemed very happy and it seemed like they had a perfect marriage. In 2004, when Melanie was 31 and William was 39, Melanie and William were hoping to move out from Woodbridge and upgrade to a new home, because in Woodbridge they were living in an apartment and it was kind of getting small for the family of four. So on April 28th, 2004, they closed on a house in Warren County, New Jersey. This house was about an hour drive from where they lived, so not too far. However, unfortunately, they never moved into this house. On May 5th, 2004, just a week after they closed on a dream home, two fishermen and their kids were on a boat sailing in the Chesapeake Bay near the bridge tunnel, and they discovered a floating suitcase. So the two men decided to pull the suitcase into the boat, and as they were pulling it, they immediately realized how heavy this suitcase was. And when they opened the suitcase, there was a trash bag inside. And so at first, the two men were hesitant to open the trash bag. Who knows what can be inside in there? And the kids, one of the kids was very curious, so he went up and ripped open the trash bag and found two human legs in there. Can you imagine the horror? That's just so traumatizing. I feel like I can't imagine seeing this, especially as a child. You're opening this trash bag and there's human legs in there. What? So police was called, of course, as they got to the shore, and they collected the suitcase with the human remains, and the legs were actually pretty fresh. That's why the people that found it didn't really smell anything, because there was no smell yet. They didn't have the decomposing body smell. On a side note, Chesapeake Bay is located about 5 hours away from Woodbridge Township, where the Maguires lived, because Chesapeake Bay is all the way in Virginia. And at this point, the police was hoping that other suitcases or the rest of the body would show up somewhere soon, as they couldn't figure out who the legs belonged to. On May 11th, 2004, a grad student was cleaning up a litter on the beach of Fisherman Island National Refuge, and he came upon a second suitcase that looked identical to the first one. And at this point, the suitcase smelled really badly, so the student didn't even try to open it. He just called police right away. When police showed up, they opened the suitcase and they discovered in it was a head and a torso. So now they have a head, and the torso had 3 bullet wounds, and then there was 1 bullet wound in the head as well. The head was actually in somewhat identifiable state, even though it was in water for so long. At this point, the case made national news, and most people, especially in that area, have heard about the suitcases. And days later, a fisherman was fishing on another artificial island nearby Chesapeake Bay when he spotted a third suitcase floating in the water. At this point, it's been so long that the suitcase smelled incredibly bad, and also the fisherman has heard the news about suitcases, so he was actually saying that he was looking around to see if he can find one, and he did. Of course, he didn't try to open it. He called police right away, and police showed up, and inside this one was pelvis to the knees. So police was able to create a facial reconstruction sketch from the head and released this sketch to the public in hopes that someone would come forward and say that they recognized this person. Not long after the sketch was released, some friends of William Maguire recognized that it might be him, so they contacted the authorities. It was Bill's friend John, who lived in Virginia, thought that it would be a slight possibility that it might be William, just because he went missing around the same time that the suitcase started showing up. He said that the sketch itself didn't really look like William because the face was pretty swollen when, it was in the water for a while, but it kind of sort of looked like him, so he decided to still contact the authorities just in case. And when questioned, this guy John said that last he has heard about Bill was that he stormed out from the house a few days ago after having a fight with his wife, never to be seen again. So he just left the house and was never seen after that. After the police ran fingerprints of William in a database, turned out it was him. So they successfully identified William Maguire as the guy in a suitcase. By the time they identified him, it's been about a month already since he went missing, and this is when his wife Melanie was finally informed by the authorities that her husband was found dead. So how did William Maguire end up cut up in pieces in different suitcases when his life seemed perfect? They just bought a new house, everything was going good for his family, his wife and his kids, and he also had a nice job as well. The car was eventually found at the Flamingo Hotel in Atlantic City, but at this point it was already towed, and police didn't find anything suspicious in the car. So investigation was continuing for months, and at this point police then decided to put every person that William was close with through the gun registry database, because remember, Bill was shot in the torso and head, and he was shot with a .38 caliber handgun, and it was found that Melanie, his wife, had purchased a .38 caliber handgun in Easton, Pennsylvania, which was Melanie's hometown. William was also shot with wad cutter bullets, and it so happened that Melanie's receipt for the gun listed an unspecified purchase of $9.95. And there were only 2 items in that store for this amount, and one of those items was a box of wad cutter bullets. The purchase date for the gun and for the other item was April 26th, 2 days before William went missing. By a weird coincidence, idea where it is now. When confronted with this information, Melanie said that she actually bought the gun for Bill because he couldn't get it himself because of a felony that he had due to all the DUIs. He had like 4 or 5 DUIs, and that's a felony. And allegedly, he wanted a gun for himself. Police then was really suspicious because Melanie didn't mention anything about having this gun until they confronted her. And police found that Melanie went to Atlantic City on the 30th of April because of her easy toll entrances and the surveillance camera there as well. When confronted with this information, Melanie said that she went to Atlantic City to look for his car because she knew that he was going to be there. She said that she actually spotted his car there. That's why she told detectives to go look in Atlantic City, because she knew that the car was already there. Not only that, but Melanie also told police that she decided to repark the car as a prank to William because she had a spare key to this car. So when she noticed his car elsewhere parked at Atlantic City, she reparked it to Flamingo Hotel. That's where it was found. She said she did it because she was mad at him and she just wanted to prank him a little bit. However, Melanie knew about this CCTV footage of her and she had a whole month to come up with a story. So I'm not sure if I believe her at this point or if anyone believes her. The weirdest part about that is that she probably had someone drive her there as well, because her car was left at the parking lot and the CCTV footage shows her driving Bill's car and then someone else picking her up and driving off. Melanie explained that she actually drove there in her car and then drove to another hotel, but it was pretty far, so then she decided to just call a taxi and take a taxi back home and then come the next day and pick up her car. But police checked and the taxi companies did not have any records of Melanie getting a ride that night from any of the taxi companies. According to the toll pass entrances, a few days later, she drove through Delaware passing by Chesapeake Bay. And then after she drove through there, that's when the first suitcase was found. How odd. So police decided to go look through her stuff. They pretty much ransacked her whole house and did not find a single piece of evidence that would link her to the murder, or if she was in any way involved in the dismemberment of the body. 1 year after the murder, on June 2nd, 2005, Melanie dropped off her kids at the daycare and one of them at preschool. As she was exiting the older child's school and walking to her vehicle, law enforcement that has been watching her for a while and looking for a good time to arrest her, they emerged from the bushes and arrested her right there, taking her into custody. And Melanie was immediately booked into Middlesex County Adult Correctional Facility on first-degree murder charges with $750,000 bail. She immediately bailed out and pled not guilty to those charges through her attorneys. All police had was circumstantial evidence. Her being in the area where the suitcases were found, literally the day before the first suitcase emerged. She bought the same gun that Bill was killed with 2 days before he disappeared, and she most likely bought the same bullets as well. And also the fact that she suddenly lost the gun the day after Bill went missing. Also in Bill's car, I forgot to mention, they found chloral hydrate and they found 2 syringes of this powerful sleeping agent. This sleeping agent was purchased the day before murder and was prescribed by none other minuscule pieces of human. So it was a little chopped up piece, little tiny, teeny tiny piece of Bill. Police then theorized that this was at the bottom of Melanie's shoe when she got inside the car. And this is how the piece ended up being there. And also the bags that she gave to a friend's friend with Bill's stuff was identical, or were identical to the bags that Bill's body was wrapped up in. And his head was wrapped in the same blanket from her hospital. That is a lot of circumstantial evidence. Also, don't forget the suitcases also were from their house, and Melanie even agreed to that as well. One more major circumstantial evidence was that someone was searching for how to commit murder and how to poison someone a few days before William went missing on their family computer. Melanie pled not guilty and the trial began on March 5th, 2007. At the trial, Brad Miller, her lover, was testified as well, and that's when he stated that they did start their affair when Melanie was pregnant with her second child. And when she was about to divorce William, Brad asked Melanie, why is she buying this house then if she doesn't want to be with him anymore? And she told him that she just wanted to get something out of the marriage. Brad Miller said that he had nothing to do with this crime and his signature was forged. He had no idea about the murder. Prosecution argued that Melanie had a reason to kill her husband because of the affair with Brad Miller. And also she was constantly discussing how she wants to divorce her husband with her co-workers. Meanwhile, William had no idea about all this. They argued that Melanie was planning his murder. Meanwhile, Bill was involved in the house purchase process. The prosecution let the jury know that the only evidence that they have is circumstantial. However, the evidence is so strong that it's impossible to see that Melanie is guilty. There was a big suspicion that someone else might have been involved and helped her because she had kids in the house at the time, so she couldn't have killed him inside her house. So she might have dragged him at her house and then someone else picked him up. They chopped him up elsewhere in another place because there was not a drop of blood inside William and Melanie's house. The defense argued that there was no way she could have murdered her husband and that she was the only suspect from the start. The police didn't investigate anyone else besides her. There was no murder weapon that was ever found, and also the kids were at home, as I said, so obviously she couldn't have chopped him up inside the house. Also, defense said that there were animal hairs found inside the body bags, but Melanie and William didn't have any animals or pets at home. However, the circumstantial evidence was overwhelming, and at the end of the trial on April 23rd, 2007, jury found Melanie Maguire guilty of first-degree murder, finding that the evidence established her culpability for the murder beyond a reasonable doubt. And if you watch the verdict video for this case, Melanie is so shocked when they find her guilty. desecration of human remains, and possession of a weapon for unlawful purposes. Not long after her conviction, Melanie appeared for a new trial on the basis that her husband might have been in debt from gambling and might have been killed by the Atlantic City mobster. There was apparently an informant at the prison that had this information, but prosecution said that they could not believe this informant because he often fabricated stories. Because he has nothing better to do there. He had a long sentence. So, therefore, a request for a new trial was withdrawn. On July 9th, 2007, Melanie Maguire was sentenced to life in prison, and she must serve 85% of her sentence until she is eligible for parole. So she will be about 100 years old by that time. Melanie appealed a few times after that, but all her appeals were denied. Melanie continues saying that she is innocent. Their sons Alexander and William are now in their early 20s and unfortunately grew up without their parents, which is very sad. Many people believe that Melanie was wrongfully convicted. But what do you think? There was a lot of circumstantial evidence against her, but I have a feeling that she wasn't the one who chopped up her husband. She had help from someone else. Nonetheless, I don't think she should have gotten such a harsh sentence with only circumstantial evidence. Since there was no direct evidence, I think life sentence was a little bit harsh. But the crime itself was very, very gruesome. So if she did do the crime, then she does deserve it. This story is extremely twisted and convoluted, and I wonder if we'll ever know the truth. Who killed William? I am certain